What's up, everybody? We are here with our friend Brittany. We are outside of the EE Schenck Warehouse, and we're going to show you the ins and outs of not only EE Schenck, but also Maywood Studios. Let's get started.
Welcome to Schenck.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'll start.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, what am I going to kick
Ready,
this
go.
up?
All right, guys, so we just walked in the doors here, and we are, first of all, before we get started on where we're standing right now, we're here at EE Schenck, but it's also Maywood Studios. So explain the difference between what EE Schenck is and what Maywood Studios is.
EE Schenck is a distributor for 30 plus fabric brands, and then hundreds and hundreds of Notions brands, and then Maywood Studio, tons and tons of Notions, and then Maywood Studio is our house quilting brand.
Okay, so if I place an order with you, I can get Notions, I can get fabrics from multiple different companies, and not just a singular company, correct?
That's correct.
So, okay, so that's what's really beneficial to us as a store, because then I can get a little bit of, you know, Minky, I can get a little bit of Notions, a little bit of Maywood, and not have to get it from multiple different companies and meet minimums and things like that.
That's
right?
the benefit of a distributor.
Beautiful warehouse. Tell us what's going on here.
We're in the receiving department. So this is where our containers are unloaded and truck shipments come in. Our receiving team breaks the boxes down. They rack all the fabric for the vendor goods. And then for the containers that get unloaded, they get brought over to get staged for double enrolling.
Do you ever have days when you're going to get multiple semis in here at the same time, when you've got just pallets coming off and forklifts rolling? What does it look like?
Typically, we schedule it for only one container a day.
Okay.
But we could have truck shipments of batting coming in, maybe on the same day that we have a container of Maywood that's coming in. So those can get pretty hectic.
What's the worst type of container to get in? Like, what are the guys here that are unloading like, oh man, we got to get fabric again? Or is it Notions, or is it?
I think it's probably the batting trucks.
The batting,
yeah.
Okay.
So
why?
I would bet that, well, we might want to ask the team members what they think, but I would say that that's probably it. I think that they have the containers of Maywood Studio down to a science, but I always know that like batting that is like jammed tightly in a truck can be
they open it, the doors
can
just
be
pop
challenging.
Open.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So
very cool. So product comes in, and then what? We're walking through this aisle here. Tell us what's going on here.
So we have ROT, which is fabric that's rolled on tube.
So like these right here, right?
Yep.
Okay.
In these boxes that are all labeled and waiting to be double enrolled.
Okay. And so tell us what's the science behind what's going on here? It just everything gets put on shelves and waits, or is it already starting to get put into collections, or how does this
Typically
work?
It's coming in collections and has areas that it's going into. We have locations for all of the rolls.
So it's shipped to you in collections?
Primarily, it depends on reorders. Maybe wouldn't be in collections, but typically we're getting collections in at a time.
Okay, cool. So you get collections in, they go up on the shelves, and then obviously you're not sending me a roll like that to Sew Yeah. So what's the next step from here?
They get pulled down when it's time to be double enrolled and brought over to our cutters.
Okay, can we see that?
Absolutely.
Cool, let's do it.
So here we are in our cutting department, where we take the ROT, or the tubes of fabric, and put it onto bolts. So these are the boards that the fabric gets rolled on. And this is the machines that double enroll the fabric onto the bolts. So you can see that the fabric gets folded and then rolled around on the bolt, and then the electric cutter goes along and cuts it.
So at this point, this is how it's getting to me in a quilt store. So I get it with the little paper around it, just like that, boom. So I've been watching him since yesterday, and he definitely has this down to a science. Everything, every single one is like, he stops the machine, it's like right at the right time, cuts it. Be interesting to know how many yards of fabric he's rolled in his lifetime.
A lot.
A lot. And it's interesting, so they would do one roll of the same thing until the roll rolls up. It's finished up, right?
So we provide work orders, so he'll work through this roll and probably multiple rolls of the same type, and then move on to the next one based on what our cutting manager determines needs to be done that day.
And you don't cut all of the same thing, is that right? So if you get a pallet of this white fabric that he's doing right now, is he gonna do all of it and put it all on bolts, or is he gonna do like a portion of it, and then later he'll do another portion when you need more.
A portion and then later. So we cut to demand with a portion excess to have it on the shelf. But we always want to make sure that we're maintaining rolls of fabric for manufacturers or customers that are looking for it on the roll.
Okay, very cool. We're done with rolling. What's our next step?
We're headed over to the shrink tunnel.
Let's do it.
So before we head over to the shrink tunnel, the bolts get labeled. So labels are created that have the put up or the quantity of yards on the bolt, and then it has the fabric content and the manufacturer. We double enroll brands outside of Maywood Studio because we are a distributor as EE Schenck. So it's the brand name and then
barcode and all that kind of
all
stuff.
The good stuff that needs to go on the end of the board.
From there, we go on to shrink wrapping?
Yes.
Okay.
So here we are at the shrink tunnel. We actually just got a new machine. And so we've been working on the thickness of the plastic and the heat and everything to really get it perfect. But the bolts get fed through. The plastic gets cut, and then it goes through the heat tunnel to shrink it up.
Shrink wrap, right?
To shrink it.
So we did this on a much smaller scale with a little one this big when we made some deli rolls. Let me tell you, I wish we would have had this machine. Do you have to have special insurance for a shrink wrap machine?
I don't think so.
Just regular.
Just regular insurance.
Don't get burned. Don't get stuck. Now, we're kind of getting the around the scenes here of the warehouse. We've gone through receiving. It gets palletized. It gets double enrolled. It gets labeled, it gets shrink wrapped, trying to make sure I'm in the right order, shrink wrap, then it gets inventoried. So we've been walking through the inventory here. So tell us what's the process behind the inventory? Because I've been in other warehouses where it's, I can't remember what the term was for it, but it's like this shelf right here could have Maywood and it can also have 10 other fabric companies and 10 different collections. Tell us how you guys do it here.
We keep all fabric by collection, by vendor and by collection. So right now we're walking through Maywood Studio and it's all by collection, and then with our EE Schenck vendor product, it's all by the vendor and then broken down by the collection. Okay,
and does that make it easier for picking? Because most of the time people are gonna be picking, you know, from the same collection? And
absolutely, so it's easier for picking. Also, we do have events in our warehouse where we'll allow our customers to come in and shop the warehouse. And so our customers being shops to come in and shop our warehouse, and it makes it easier for that as well. Here we are with our pre-cuts and kits in this entire area. We do pre-cuts for all Maywood Studio collections, and then kits for our free project and other specialty projects for Maywood.
And you have every type of pre-cut, right? I mean,
yes, we do.
I'm seeing
we
10-inch stacks.
10-inch squares, 5-inch squares, strips, and fat quarters.
Awesome.
And they are almost all assembled in the U.S.,
which is really cool.
We're very proud of.
Yeah, absolutely should be. Yeah, that's great. So part of the picking process when people are coming and picking orders, they're going to come in here, right, and pick pre-cuts.
And pick all the pre-cuts. This is pre-cut land back here. And so they're going to pick all the pre-cuts here, and then those actually come out on separate orders for us so they can be picked quickly by our pre-cut picking team. Okay, very cool. Walk us through the next steps. Sew Yeah places an order. And then what happens? The order comes into our system, and then all of the available goods get printed onto pick lists. And so they are printed out here. Our pickers grab a pick list and head out to the warehouse. Cool. So show us kind of what that looks like. So we got our pick list. On here has the locations for all the fabric or notions that we're picking. So we head on over to our fabric racks. Did you guys have these made? We did. Okay. When I saw these, I was like, man, these would be really cool in a warehouse. I wonder where they got them. And I'm looking at them like, oh no, these have been made somewhere. They were made. Okay. So we get one of these racks, and this is going to help us transport everything as we're getting ready to pull a whole order, right? Yep. So, so once we locate the bolt that we're looking for, and then we're always going to go to the piece that is the closest to the standard put-up. So if the standard put-up is 12 yards, then we're going to always be directed towards a 12-yard bolt first before something larger or smaller. Okay. So like these all right here, on this order here, is it going to tell you, let's say
everything's supposed to be 12 yards, but obviously the rolls don't work out perfect every time where everything's 12 yards. You might have an 11-yard bolt or something like that, right? Is this going to tell you which bolt to pick, or you're just going to come up here and say, okay, I need to whichever one's closest to 12 yards?
It's going to show you the location where the bolt that's the closest to the standard put up is.
And then from there,
you're
your
going to
pickers are gonna
pull,
pull.
and then you're going to pull that bolt.
Okay.
And put it on the rack.
Boom, bolt one.
Bolt one.
500 to go. Okay, so we fill up the rack, and then what happens?
So once our rack is full, we're gonna bring it over to the scanning station where we scan in all of the pieces and make sure that we have the order complete.
Okay, can we see it?
Absolutely.
Cool, let's do it.
So we came right in time. Leslie is right here scanning in several customer orders that are all racked up.
And so when getting scanned, you're basically just double checking to make sure everything's in the order, you haven't missed anything, you don't have extra, right? Okay, and then once it gets scanned, then what?
It gets rolled over to shipping.
You get 2 documents, receipt that goes with the product, and the orange goes upstairs for accounts receivable purposes.
Check, check.
Check, check. All right, let's see
and
what's next.
we head over to shipping. So here we are in shipping, and these are all of the racks lined up with orders that are getting ready to ship.
How many orders do you guys ship a day? And it's different because like you're shipping to shops, not consumers, right? You don't sell direct to consumer. So you ship in 10 orders a day, 100 orders a day?
Many, many, many more than that.
Many, many more than that, okay. Hey, look at this right here. This is our collection right here.
It is.
Right there, Not Your Mama's Garden. That worked out perfect, right? That's like the perfect spot. Somebody knows, if you're watching this and you own a quilt store, EE Schenck right there. They've got your Not Your Mama's Garden. That was perfect timing. I was just giving her a bad time about her not having it here because I didn't see it anywhere, and it's here.
Here we are with our shipping stations. Our packers perfectly pack up our customer
it is true.
orders.
EE Schenck has really good, Maywood EE Schenck has really good packaging. Some companies don't. They send boxes that are broken up and not packed well. So
yes, we take pride in packaging all of the little tiny notion items as well as the bolts of fabric all up perfectly to make sure that there's no damages during shipment.
Okay, so we're here, I can see that we're getting piles getting closer here. So these are gonna get put in semis or on
so these
trucks?
all these packages are gonna be put on pallets and then loaded onto our UPS truck.
Okay.
All right, now that you've seen the warehouse, we're gonna head upstairs to see the office and the design studio.
Cool, let's do it.
So right now we're in the office, which is where all the behind the scenes happens. Our SKU maintenance team is here, our credit team.
Well, what's a SKU maintenance team?
They manage all the SKUs, so
if something gets discontinued or...
Exactly. So if it gets discontinued, it gets set up, which we are setting up, oh goodness, hundreds of SKUs a day and managing hundreds of SKUs a day. Our credit team is here, and then of course the Maywood design team. So this area is where our Maywood design team works to develop the collections that you can find in your local quilt shop.
And so all of your designers are here in-house and they're taking care of everything from the very, very basic idea to
all the way through the process,
right?
Sending it off to the mill, and then the strike-off process to make sure that all the color and prints are perfect.
Very cool. And guys, if you don't know, we have a video that's going to be coming out or is already out. I don't know which one it's going to be about the whole design process here at Maywood Studios, so make sure you check that video out. Who are all your contacts at the mill?
Here we are in our assembly room, which is where the magic happens. Samples are made, quilts are made. Maywood Studio has a trunk show program, so a reservation program for our shops where shops can...
Ultra nice for us.
Yes, absolutely. So shops can reserve for a month at a time or longer quilts that go with the fabric collections that they purchase.
We do lots of times with companies because it's super important for us to be able to get the fabric and have something very nice to show the customers. And lots of times, if we show too many collections, we can't get quilts made fast enough. Right. So you guys doing the busy work of getting it done helps us so much.
And you should save your time and sell rather than make quilts. So we make up quilts or handbags or whatever quilting projects to go with each collection. We usually do about 3 of them per Maywood collection, and then they go up on our online reservation program for shops to reserve.
Very cool.
And then we also make samples here. So we at Maywood Studio think it's very important for our shops to see fabric rather than paper on all the collections that we design. So
when we're placing our orders.
Absolutely, yes. So we think that that's really important. So our fabric caps are all made in-house here. And that's about all. That's about all in here.
Get out of the way, Victor! Well, Brittany, thank you so much for showing us your warehouse here with EE Schenck and Maywood Studios. It's amazing to see... Studio.
I was like gonna correct you.
You should do it. Hey, it's amazing to see the production that's here and the company that your family has, you know, had these last 50 years. And not only the notions, but the fabrics, and you have batting and everything here that anybody could ever want in their quilt store. So thank you for showing that. And not only is it organized and, you know, in perfect order, but also beautiful. You guys have seen the quilts that are hanging everywhere, and it's nice to see that it's not just a warehouse, it's an actual, you know, way of life. It's people getting the inspiration while they're working. So
it's a quilting wonderland.
It really is. So thank you so much for showing us that. And guys, if you haven't already, check out your local quilt store for Maywood Studio fabrics, okay? You can see them in all of your local quilt stores, as well as if you don't have it in your local quilt shop, down in the link below, you'll be able to get Maywood down there. So thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next time.